Change knows no bounds, and surfing is a catalyst for change for anyone searching. I'm Shaun Tomson, and on this episode of Transformed, we will explore Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a country completely cut off from the ocean, but that hasn't stopped Afri Amu from seeking out the joy of surfing. This is Transformed.
You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in one drop, says Rumi, 11th century mystic from the region that is nowadays called Afghanistan. I would like to tell you a story of a drop of joy that surfing might bring to the landlocked and war-torn country of Afghanistan. What you usually expect when talking about surfing are white sand beaches, rough coastlines, big waves, barrels, glassy waters, and.
This will be different now. You won't find any of these in Afghanistan.
Very, very risky.
My name is Afridun Amu, and I'm a surfer from Afghanistan. I believe that surfing is more than just hunting the best waves. Let me take you on a journey on how surfing found its way to Afghanistan.
Afghanistan is one of the world's most mountainous countries. More than 2/3 of the country are covered by the foothills of the Himalaya, here called the Hindu Kush and Pamir. But I said I was going to tell a story about Afghanistan and surfing. So how does that fit together? In ancient times, Afghanistan quite often had a pretty decent coastline. Back then, it wasn't yet called Afghanistan, but Bactria, Khorasan, Ariana, and many other names. Today, Afghanistan looks like this. So one major difficulty when you want to surf in Afghanistan is that you will have to do so without an ocean. But the difficulty doesn't end here. Afghanistan's tumult started in 1978, with the Soviet Union supporting the communist regime and the United States supporting the Islamic rebels. From these Islamic rebel groups, the Taliban were born, who controlled most of Afghan state territory from 1996 to 2001. During their 5 years of reign, they destroyed Afghanistan and sent it back into Stone Age. The most infamous destruction by the Taliban was that of the giant Buddha statues in Bamyan. They were built more than 1,000 years ago and were the biggest standing Buddha statues in the world. For the thousands of years before the Taliban, Afghanistan used to be a place of high spirituality. The Taliban's reign was characterized by oppression of not only spirituality, but also of various parts of the population, most profoundly women. Also, performing any sports was forbidden. Football courts were used for executions.
Let me tell you a story of a refugee, which is my own story.
My family fled in the early 90s when the civil war intensified and when Kabul was laid in ruins. My parents, my grandparents, my sister and myself, back then 4 years old, left via Russia by land. This journey took several months until we were granted political asylum in Germany, where I then grew up and where I still live. After graduating from high school, I went with friends on a hitchhiking tour across Europe. This is where I got in touch with surfing.
But there isn't just Afri. There are millions of exiled Afghans, and many who share this passion for surfing. I'm one of them. My name is Ursula. I'm an Afghan woman and a surfer. I had my first experience surfing while I was a student at university on holiday to Barbados, and I felt a thrill that I'd never experienced before. But surfing was never considered more than a vacation hobby, not by myself or my family. We just were never encouraged to compete or play sports, especially being a girl. But sometimes defiance opens up the best doors, and I knew that it was something I loved and tried to continue incorporating into my life. In 2015, I joined the Wave Riders Association of Afghanistan, which was getting ready to create its first ever surf championships.
Hi, I'm Afri, the president of RA, the Wave Riders Association of Afghanistan. RA is the governing body of Afghan surfing, and we invite you to join us. Ericeira, one of Portugal's most established surf communities, encouraged us to have the Afghan Championship at their beaches and waves.
The first Afghan championships were held in Portugal in 2015 in Ericeira, and it was the most magical experience, having a bunch of different Afghans come from around Europe and different countries to participate in something that had never been done before.
The spirit was quite an Olympic one, as it wasn't mainly about the competition, but also we celebrated a big beach gathering Afghan style.
Just to come together and have our common culture, common language and food, and all get to live together for a week and get to enjoy being out on the water was absolutely wonderful. And there was so much exchange that happened, so many deep friendships that formed through the mutual enjoyment of this incredible sport. I mean, we had the greatest time.
The people of Ericeira got involved in the accompanying activities around the championship, and hereby were introduced to Afghan culture.
It was one of the most moving moments of the whole experience to be crowning the first ever Afghan female surfer. It was unthinkable until recently to see Afghan women competing in sports, and even today it's not that many women do compete in Afghanistan. For women to be surfing, I just think is the most radical expression coming from a culture where so much of that has been denied. My dream is to see an Afghan woman competing at the global level who can show up at international events and represent Afghanistan and just show how overcoming all the inherent limitations that exist for a woman in that position, to be on the world stage like that, it would be really cool.
Trying to bring that drop of joy to my homeland Afghanistan made me continue spreading the word of Afghan surfing.
To do so, I participated in several international shortboard and longboard events representing my homeland Afghanistan.
There's Afri from Afghanistan, that's right. He is motivational, he is inspiration, he is a doer.
Of all competitors here, he has to be top 5 most stoked humans on the beach.
Well, it's the first time Afghanistan is in the ISA World Surfing Games, and I'm happy that I can represent Afghanistan.
افریدون را در تمپلهوف، محلی که در گذشته یکی از فرودگاه‌های برلین بود، ملاقات می‌کنم. برای تمرین موج سواری به اینجا آمده.
Even though he had finished 4th, Afri is one of the happiest guys you'll ever meet, right, Colin?
Oh yeah, if not the happiest. He always has a smile on his face.
A couple of one-point rides, looked like he just won the heat.
Oh yeah, he's such a legend.
Because again, Afghanistan is always reduced to the same topics, and now you see you're interviewing an Afghan surfer, and I hope that is a different story to tell for the world, to the world.
Obviously, I can't turn like John Florence or pull off ass like Felipe Toledo. But that's not what it is about to me. All sports have the power of joy. The joy of doing it yourself, the joy of cheering for someone, or simply the joy of seeing someone do something he or she loves. But regarding sports in Afghanistan, there comes an extra layer to it. In a country that has been crippled by war for more than 40 years, every human right to pursue happiness is easily forgotten. Everyday life in Afghanistan is full of sorrows, so that any sorts of positive news makes people super excited. Sports have an immense potential to transform lives. Just think of Skateistan, an NGO that has been teaching girls and boys how to skate in Afghanistan and meanwhile enables them to go to school. Talking about surfing, for many Afghans it was unbelievable how someone could stand on a piece of board in the water. Some people in Afghanistan told me this made them feel like if this is possible, anything is. So having more Afghans surf was a great thing. But the main quest still remained: how to bring surfing into a landlocked country of Afghanistan. Skateboards were invented in the 60s because surfers wanted to feel the joy of surfing even when there were onshore winds and no swell. In the 50s, surfers that lived far from the sea started looking for new, alternative ways to pursue their passion, not only when on holidays, but also right on their doorstep. And that was the start of river surfing. Now, this is where Kelly Slater pops up in the story, the most famous surfer of all time. Sorry, my mistake. I meant Jacob Kelly, Canada's most charming river surfer.
I'm super grateful to be able to surf in my home. When I found waves here in the mountains just outside of my house, I started thinking I could surf anywhere. It's a dream come true for me to come on this project and help Afri find waves where he's from, in his home country of Afghanistan. To see him travel the world and surf ocean coastlines is the same connection that we have, all surfers have. But for him to go home now and find waves, that's something truly special.
Wave looks way better than yesterday, actually. Yeah, it does. So it's gonna happen. We're gonna surf Afghanistan.
همین خودش تخته مرسواریست. سر از این بالا میشیم، یک پای ما را پشت، یکی اینجا میباشه. فقط کشتی وارید، سر مالچ میریم، در مالچ میباشه. دیگه اگر تو ببینی این بالا پایین میره. We talked to some locals and wow, they're stoked. I mean, obviously they have not a clue so far what we are going to do here. We tried to explain it to them. Well, I'm not too sure if they understood what we are doing, but they look all super stoked that somebody's coming here and then doing this, doing something new. And yeah, I think they will be at least as excited as we are to see what will happen.
Honestly, the best group of guys to surf here in Afghanistan. Like, I have full confidence in every one of you. You know, we are made for this, okay?
So true.
Trust each other. We're here for each other. We're here for a team, not for the wave. We're here for each other. Okay? Think safe. Have fun. I love you all. Love you.
relief because it looks sketchy to me. Somebody who's not really used to surfing rivers, it was definitely a challenge. But most of all, I'm happy because, man, we were planning this for over 3 years now. And finally it happened. Finally, Afghanistan is surfed. Obviously, it wasn't the best wave in the world. We weren't expecting that for our very first wave. But, you know, I was really amazed by seeing all the people around actually being part of this, you know? Like, they were actually not only cheering, but telling us, hey, go further to the left, try it over there. That was, I would say, the most impressive thing.
That's for me, looking up and seeing all the faces. That's when I realized, like, we're bringing something to this nation.
Currently, it's unclear whether the direction of Afghanistan is towards a brighter or a darker future. I hope that surfing may serve as an unconventional and new, different, hopeful perspective for the next generation of Afghans who are in such a time of change, for this to be a period of positive transformation for the country and its people.
To us, this expedition was something like the first pinnacle of Afghan surfing. But actually, it's only its very beginning. Like the Finki, we left in the hands of the children of the Panjshir Valley. This expedition is meant to open more doors for Afghan surfing, with a dream to see Afghanistan represented in the Olympic Games one day.
Afghanistan is going through times of change right now. For the first time in decades, there was hope for a better future. But the situation has worsened again, with the Taliban and ISIS on a rise, and terrorist suicide attacks on a regular basis.
May surfing bring a drop of joy from the ocean to the rivers, mountains, and people of Afghanistan.